I'm Brian Brush, and we're getting down to the brass tacks and hard facts of loading the Modified Minuteman. Loading the Minuteman bundle for a cross-lay deployment. So regardless of how we're going to set this up, side by side, vertically stacked, when we're loading the cross-lay, we have to get our supply section set first. We're going to use this hose bed prop here with a cutaway, so you can imagine we're looking at the inside of that load from a side view, and we're just going to follow this stack up. So your agency needs to determine what your supply length is going to be. If your pre-connects are 150 feet, we've already determined the working length is 100. We now have 50 feet of supply. 200, 100 feet of supply, 100 feet of working. 250, 150 of supply, 100 of working. So all we're going to do here is simulate a midship connection to that pre-connect here, go back and forth so this can be deployed from either side of the apparatus. Let's go ahead and get it loaded. This is standard. We're going to hold those folds and just go back and forth on the apparatus. Again, we're going straight on top of it just as we would. In this scenario, we're going to go ahead and use a 100-foot section for our supply. Going back and forth, creating those folds on each side of the apparatus. Here you can see we're approaching that 50-foot section. It's at this point we want to make a grab loop. We want to be able to clear this supply section at half of our supply distance. We've made a grab loop here in our supply, essentially right at that 50 feet. I'm going to take it to the other side of the apparatus and build that grab loop as well. When we go for the deployments, we shoulder the Minuteman bundle, grab our dump loop here at the 50 feet. Now let's finish the load. You can see here, we now have that finish. Supply section, 100 feet with our 50-foot clear loop. This is the foundation for our Modified Minuteman loads. The Modified Minuteman load for the single stack pre-connected crosslay. The single stack pre-connected crosslay is pretty common. A lot of apparatus, they try to fit a lot of crosslays on. We may have multiple 1 3/4 and a 2.5. That shrinks our hose bed's location down to a single vertical stack. This is also very common on quint apparatus where that pump panel is pretty tight. So we've done our standard flat load, our supply of 100 feet with that 50-foot drop section. At this point, we have our male connection to be making it to the bundle. The nice part about that, and this being strapped versus the traditional Minuteman, is the nozzle can be either on top or on the bottom. In this scenario, I'd recommend putting the nozzle on top. It's very narrow with little clearance, allows that nozzle to pass either side of the apparatus. So we're gonna go ahead and take our connection, bring it back to connect to the bundle. The bundle's right here. We're gonna make that connection. Now this is the base of the bundle. We're gonna go and clean this load up so it's down in the bottom. Take the bundle so we have the hose oriented with the nozzle on top. Craig's gonna ensure that the nozzle is flush with the front end as it sets in. On the back side, we have the tails to indicate that bidirectional pull. Pulling off the officer's side, we're grabbing the nozzle and going. Pulling off the driver's side, I'm grabbing my 2 identifier loops and taking it this way. Having that nozzle on the top prevents that low clearance situation from hanging it up. Gives us opportunities off of both sides of the rig. Loading the Minuteman bundle in a side-by-side pre-connected crosslay. So again, we're at the midship of the pump. We have this crosslay, we have 2 bays. It's always easier to start by dropping your bundle in, which has been strapped together and doesn't have the likelihood of falling over as you've loaded it. Once you determine we want the nozzle on the bottom or the nozzle on the top, that's how we can start to determine where we're gonna make that connection. For this scenario, the connection is at the bottom of the apparatus. Some apparatus have that supply connection for their pre-connects on the top. Again, you'll have to work with your spec. But now, bundle is in place, ready to go. We're just gonna work that flat loaded 100 feet of supply length back into the bed. You can see I'm getting close to that 50 foot. This is where I'm gonna put that bed clearing loop for my supply length. The supply length here is 100 feet, bed clearing loop at the 50, so we know that drop bed. This is gonna be repeated on the other side because the whole point of a crosslay is to have an opportunity at a bidirectional pull. Our member at the top of the rig now is gonna grab both connections, make them in place. and finish the load. On this side, obviously, we have the nozzle exposed. That bundle is going to come onto the shoulder, creating lots of space for the deployment of the supply section. Shoulder the bundle, grab the drop loop, deploy. On the other side of the apparatus, we're grabbing the 2 pull loops, shouldering the bundle, grabbing the drop loop, and deploying. Once again, the benefit of a cross lay is a bidirectional pull. The Modified Minuteman bundle finish for the 2.5-inch bulk bed. What we've done here is prepared the Minuteman bundle 100-foot working length with a direct connection to our 2.5 through the use of a bell reducer. This is a great model for departments where we're having to go long distances with our working length. Instead of utilizing the 1 3/4 as our supply section, we're now going to 2.5. Reduces our overall friction loss for those longer stretches. We're gonna go ahead and deploy the Minuteman bundle from here, shoulder load it, reach back, and take our 2.5 to our objective. At that point, other members in the line, either midpoint or back at the panel, are gonna brake, make the connection, and determine the pump discharge pressure from that point.